All right, what if I told you that the secret to getting rich wasn't about earning more money, but about working for free? Yeah, I know it sounds totally backwards, right? But stick with me because today we're going to unpack a really powerful idea, one that pretty much flips everything we've been taught about jobs and wealth on its head. Honestly, this could completely change how you think about your next career move.
So let's start with what sounds like a pretty radical proposition. I mean, it's an offer that goes against pretty much everything we think we know about work.
So picture this. A potential mentor sits you down and lays this deal on the table. No salary, no hourly wage, nothing. Just their knowledge, their expertise in exchange for your work. I mean, it sounds like a deal you'd never, ever accept. Or would you? And that's the big question, isn't it? Why on earth would anyone choose to work for nothing? Well, the answer, at least according to the source material we're looking at, isn't about the short-term cash at all. It's all about long-term change. And more specifically, how a choice like this can literally rewire your brain. And this is where we get to the core idea here, the two mindsets. See, whether you accept or reject that crazy deal, well, it reveals a lot about which of these two mindsets you might be operating from.
Okay, so here's the really powerful claim from the source material. It suggests that the very act of getting a regular paycheck, it can actually wire your brain to think in a very specific way. And get this, it might be a way that's holding you back from ever building real wealth. So let's really break this down. On one side, you have what the source calls the employee brain. This brain is basically conditioned by that paycheck. The main question it's always asking is, how much money am I getting for my time? Simple enough. But then on the other side, you have the rich brain. And it's asking a totally different question. What skill am I getting for my time? You see the difference? One is all about immediate cash, while the other is focused on a long-term asset. And that asset is knowledge. All right, so let's dig a little deeper into that first mindset, the employee brain. The central idea here is a bit of a paradox. The very thing we all work so hard for, that steady paycheck, it might just be the biggest thing standing in the way of our financial freedom.
So what exactly is this employee mindset? Well, it's basically a transactional view of your job. You know the drill. You put in your hours, you do your tasks, and in return you get a predictable amount of money. It's safe, sure, it's secure, but the argument here is that it's just not the path to getting truly rich. And this quote, man, it gets right to the heart of it. The idea is that the payment itself is what shifts your thinking. The second that money becomes the main reason you're there, your brain just naturally focuses on doing what's required to get that money. You're not thinking about maximizing growth or learning something new. You're just focused on fulfilling the terms of the job. So you can see how this mindset can kind of become a gilded cage, right? Your focus just narrows down to short-term survival, making it to the next payday. And because of that, you're way less likely to take risks. Like volunteering for that tough project that won't give you a raise, but wow, would teach you a super valuable new skill. Your value ends up being tied directly to the hours you punch in, not the amazing skills you could be building. Okay, so if the paycheck is a potential trap, what's the alternative? Well, that brings us to the other path. The idea of working to learn, not just to earn. And here it is. This is the big secret, according to the source. The goal is to completely reframe the purpose of work. You're not there for the salary, you're there for the education. The whole idea is that if you make learning your number one priority, the money will eventually follow because you'll become so incredibly valuable. So, okay, how does this actually work in the real world? First off, you have to consciously shift your focus. Before you even take a job, you ask yourself, what am I going to learn here? Not just, how much will I earn? Second, you start treating every single task like it's a lesson. And third, you start to see the skills you're picking up, things like marketing, sales, leadership, as your real paycheck. Think about it. Someone might take a lower paying gig at a startup, not for the tiny salary, but to learn exactly how to build a business from scratch. That knowledge, that becomes an asset they own forever. So finally, let's turn this whole idea around and ask maybe the most important question of all. What's your price? Look, if there's just one thing you remember from all of this, let it be this. A salary pays your bills this month. A valuable skill set, that can build your entire future. Your real earning potential isn't about your current paycheck. It's all about the problems you can solve with the skills you have. And so I'll leave you with this question. Just take a second and really think about it. If money were no object, what skill would you go out and learn? What would you want to master that could make you truly, truly invaluable?
Because the answer to that question, well, that might just be the key to unlocking a much, much richer future for yourself. Thanks for tuning in.